If your strategy is to build me confidence, it's working.
G'day everyone, this is NickBro101 here, and today we're gonna be talking about enemy psychology when playing sniper. When people think of sniping, they usually only think about the aiming behind it. While it's certainly important, another key factor in being a good sniper comes from understanding how your enemies think. After all, shooting something predictable is a lot easier. In this video, we're going to be talking about some elements to watch out for when trying to get into your enemy's head. To start off, you'll have to learn the basics on how every class in TF2 plays. The way you deal with a certain situation is different for pretty much every class, so you, as a sniper, will have to be able to tell what your enemy could be thinking and how he'd move. The best way to learn this is to simply just practice different classes. You'll want to, at the very least, learn how to be competent at the basics of every class. For more advanced tactics people might do, you can afford to just look at gameplay from people who have mained the class in question. Once you've gathered this knowledge, then you'll need to be able to judge what kind of situation your enemy is presented with. You've got to try to quickly gather information about what the target might know or what he could be focused on. A simple example is looking at which class he's fighting. People move very differently based on whether they're fighting, for example, a pyro, scout, or spy. Lastly, what you think sounds logical isn't necessarily what your enemy thinks. Your personal thoughts can be used for general situations or with first encounters with an enemy, but once the match has been going on for a while, you should try to recognize the playstyle of your enemy. Is he aggressive or passive? Does he tend to run away? What paths do they usually take? And so on. Whether they realize it or not, every player has a certain way of playing. If you manage to find out how your target plays, then you can fine-tune your predictions. So, to quickly recap, your overall goal is that you should be able to think what you do in your enemy's place based on how the situation looks from his perspective and make adjustments with your prediction based on the enemy's playstyle. Moving on, we as humans are a mixed bag of emotions, and these emotions affect how we act, even in game. It's possible that even the slightest change in emotions can change the way someone will move around. Let's cover a few of these emotions and how to abuse them. Panic is probably the easiest emotion to abuse, as people have naturally very little control over it. Panic happens when a player suddenly feels very disadvantaged. For example, they might have walked around the corner only to meet the entire enemy team. Instinctively, people will react to this by running to a safe area as fast as possible. This will usually be around the corner, towards a health kit, or somewhere near their team. Knowing this, you can just place your crosshair in between the target and the safe zone and wait for him to walk straight into it. Do watch out though when you think that you were the one who caused the panic as a sniper. Experienced players generally don't get in panic when seeing a sniper. Instead, they get fearful. Fear is when a player thinks that a certain area is dangerous. People will generally want to avoid that area, or they'll try to wait for the enemy that they fear to expose themselves. If you are holding down a certain area and people are getting afraid of said area, then you can try to reposition to catch those enemies off guard. Your team can also cause this kind of fear, giving you a chance at finding a different angle to kill your opponents who are trying to stay safe. Positive emotions can also affect players, for example, confidence. Confidence happens when people feel like they have a high chance at winning. People who are confident will be pretty careless for their actions, and they will assume that they will win all the time. Their movement will be much simpler, so it becomes easier to predict what they are going to do. Probably the most obvious kind of confidence is when people face a class that they counter. Trust me, you'll meet these kind of people a lot as sniper, especially in pubs. So, this was my video talking about the psychology behind your enemies. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.